Okay, so let's continue from where we left off on Context API. And we created this cards, this small card, learning how to add something to cards. Like I can actually add something, and you can see if I click on it, it will add the value here to this card. And I can change the value, can increase the value to 4, and if I click add, it should update it to 6 now. It was originally 2. I can add more 3 to update it to 9 because I added 3 more things. So um, what you'll be looking at now is how do you open this card? You can see our card is not clickable. Okay, so I can't click on it. So once the situation where you can click on it, display the card, and then display contents of the card. So those things are what you're going to look at in this very class. So remember, we're using Context API, and I say with Context API, I can be able to store things across my data, across my documents or my pages, okay? So the fact that this is happening here, mind you, this card is actually on my navbar. If we go further to show the navbar again, you can see that that card exists on the navbar. Okay, so you can see the cards and the value, and I'm putting it using Context API. And of course, the contents are different. They are actually on the cards, and definitely I included them on the add cards. And we have providers here which help us to, which provides us with everything we need in order to manage our cards. So next thing we have to do is we need to update, create our cards component. So inside my app, I can create a cards component. Okay, let me do that within my components directory. So I will create a new file called cards.jss. Just call this cards instead of cards.js, and I can just use arrow functional components. So you have so many kinds of components you can use. We have functional components, and React functional components, React arrow components, both the extension one and other. So, but this class is not about that, but let's just see how we can actually do these cards. So I have my card component here, which is displaying cards. So for now, we can design these card components to give it a class name, excuse me, and I try to style it, can give it a width of probably 50%, which is W15, 1/5. So I'm using Tailwind CSS to style here. 1/5 is equivalent of width 50%. You can see that. So the Tailwind classes. Okay, so I can give it a height of a screen. Okay, I can make it to be a minimum height anyway, but let's just say a screen. Okay, so again, hair screen means it has that as a height, and I want it to also have a shadow, maybe a deep shadow like this, and background color. When I look at my document, I can actually give it a background color close to, okay, let's make it to have the same color as, okay, let's just give it BG slate. Okay, so BG slate, can give it slate 900, and then text in it should be white. Okay, text white. So text white is text white. So the text will be white. Okay, so for now, the text I want it to display can have a div here. Let's say I want it to display cats. Okay, maybe H3 cats. Okay. Probably another component that I will use to close it. Let me use a text close cat. Okay, so within these two components, we can. It's also important I put padding here, PY. So maybe padding top and bottom, and then px, padding left and right to be around 6. So for these very components, can give it a class name. So this is not the major thing we are doing. And then flex, justify between. So it can have justification and item should be center. So that will make them to be on the center. Okay, so for this very text, can give it a class name. I can say BG white, so the background color can be white, and the text color can be slate. Can use slate this. Okay, and then it can have some form of shadow in it, so it can appear like safe, and then rounded a little, rounded MD, rounded LG, maybe MD is fine, and then some padding around it can say B 4, so 4, so padding 4, padding top and bottom, padding left and right to be 4. Okay, so this text can give both of them to have the same size by, I can come here and I give it text 2XL, so 2 times size of the boot element. So text 2XL. Okay, so this has a text of white and all that, right? So, and then fonts can change the fonts, can give it a mono font. Okay, give it a mono font. So that is it here, and we are ready. So okay, so one more thing, I can give this one rounded rounded SM, can say MD. Okay, so I only want it to be rounded at one edge. Okay, rounded starts, start. So we actually see what this, or rather rounded left. So I wanted to rounded by the left, so I can say rounded L. Okay, so which just means that border top left and border bottom left. So rounded, it will be rounded only at the left axis. So back to my providers, what am I to do here? I can just create my hook here, and I can call it open cards. I can call it open cards and then set open cards. So set open cards. So this is going to take use states, okay, and then the initial value will be false. All right, the initial value of this card will be false. So I'll be using this, so I have to put them here because I'll be using them in my context. Okay, so I will now put open cards and set open cards. Okay, so because I have put it up there, I can actually use it wherever I want it to be. Okay, so these cards, okay, my cards, one more thing for the cards, I can make the cards to be absolute position, as I can also decide to also make it to be fixed. So absolute position, okay, so absolute position, and from the right hand side, it should be 0. Okay, so from the top, I can give it some distance away from the top, maybe 10 from the top. Okay, so we see how it pans out when we have created it. So on the nav bar, can decide to, and then the nav bar, we create this thing that I have here, and I'm going to have set, what is the name again? Open cards, and set open cards, and set open cards. So I will bring them here, the nav bar, because I want to use them there. Okay, so this thing here, I can just say when open cards, and so if open cards is true, and and this, right? So, and when OpenCat is true, and then call this component for me. Call this component for me. So I need to import it. That's why. Okay, so if I'm typing it, comes out, I click on it, so it will import it. Otherwise, it's going to see that as an error. Okay, so and then um, when OpenCat is true and that. So this OpenCat, I need to write a function that this OpenCat will definitely listen to. So function, function, handle cat, handle uh, cat opening, handle cat open. So function handle cat open, can call it. Then set open cat will now. So I want it to toggle. So I can simply say exclamation mark open cat. So whatever the value of open cat is, this guy is going to handle it, this function. So this will now be an on click. I will now, whenever I click, I want it to handle OpenCat. Okay, handle OpenCat. So I can give this a class name of cursor pointer, so that whenever I'm on the cursor will point. Okay, cursor pointer. So whenever the cursor is pointed, whenever the cursor is hovered on, it will appear like a cursor. So let's see how that pans out. So you can see that it is now cursor pointer. So if I click on it, you can see that the card will open. Okay, and there is nothing closing. Okay, I did not give this command to close the card, which is also what's supposed to close it. And the distance from the top is not allowing me to see that very well. So I can just refresh so that we go. So I have to go back and modify my card. So inside the cards, right? So this text, I want it to also handle the context, okay? So what I did on the navbar, I have to also bring this thing there. So I can simply copy it and come inside the cards and bring it there, okay? So I come inside the cards and bring it there. So I don't actually need this, okay? So I can just remove it. Or rather, the okay, I don't even need to put that there. I can just pass this as a props. I can pass this as a props. So I can just say handle to be equal to handle cat open. I just pass it as a props to that. Okay, so whatever that happens here. So inside these cards, I can simply tell this to unclick whenever I click on you. Okay, I want you to actually handle cards open, handle cards open. So, but this, I also need to pass this as a prop. So I'll pass it as a prop because I added that as a prop here. Okay, so I need to pass that to as a prop. So let me be sure that everything is in order. So I come back here, I click on this and I click this. Okay, I think I just have to make it to be, let's go back, a little thing we have to do there. Okay, so um, this entire thing, I can actually do this in, okay, so let me just copy this, copy it, um, and then place it inside my cards here. and just place it inside cards here. Okay, so no need to pass it as a props anymore. Let me just remove it here as a props. Use context doesn't accept doing some things in a particular way. So I can bring in my context here. Can bring in my context here. It's not a problem. So I can bring it inside my cards. Inside cards, I can bring it in. Okay. So, but the fact that I'm bringing it in means I will have to import context. So I can import context, and I have to also import sidebar context from providers. Okay. I have to also be sure that I'm importing them. So because Sooks is now involved here, so I have to indicate that this is using client. And so this supposed to cursor pointer. Let me also give it cursor pointer. Cursor pointer is not the problem anyway. Okay, so on click supposed to handle this thing now. Let's go back and click, and then click, it closes. So yeah, it works now. I can actually open it and close it back. Okay, so I believe that is actually quite a simple thing to implement, but again, it's not functioning the way we totally want. We want it to display the contents of our cards, and that is what we are going to look into next. How do I make it to display? So, but one more thing, you can see that this is actually covering my cards. It's covering my cards. I cannot see other parts of this. Okay. So that we can easily fix. We can easily fix that by increasing our top value. Okay, this top value here, we can increase it. So the top value is at 40. I don't know what the highest is, but let's check. We make it like 20. So yeah, now I can actually see. So I can close from here, and I can also close my card from here. So if you want to still have your card and see what is on there, you can add a little transparency to the text you have there. Okay, so you can add some transparency to that text, and that is fine. Okay. So so our background color, you can add some transparency. You can just make it blue, even though it's not totally blue, but my idea of doing this is for me to be able to like come and give it some transparency here. So this will enable me to be able to see through a little, okay? So that not just when I'm there, I will be able to see through. So if we click on it, you can see that it doesn't obscure what we have there. You can also see through our card. So if that is what one wants to achieve, that is also very much possible. Okay, so we have imported this from a roundup of what we have done so far. We just try to make this to be open and closed so that we can obtain something from here. Okay, so our cards, we actually declared this not here. They were declared in the providers and assigned it there. So we pass it through the sidebar context. Okay, so the sidebar context, we now use it to import those things on the navbar. So we imported it on the navbar. So from the navbar, I can actually handle click here. Yeah, and on click here, can actually handle it. So whenever it is open, that's why we are not seeing it. As you now have this as exclamation mark open, you will notice that the card will always be open. You can see that it's open. So until you close it, but when you refresh, the card will always be there. But that is not actually a good design. That's not how you do it. So that's why we close it up first. Okay, so when it is closed, we are the ones to open it, and then we can. So I kind of don't think that I should have that transparency I have in that this thing here. Okay, so I can simply still take it up. Feel like the transparency is too much. So yeah, even though the transparency is there, but not so visible as it were before. Okay, so we are going to look into how to add things to this card. Whenever we click on something, we want to see it. What we want to see is not the what we are actually seeing now. What we want to see is the card itself proper. Meet you in the next. Okay, so we continue. Um, all right, so in our providers, we are going to implement add card because we feel that for now, our card is not showing us anything. So we want to add something to this card so it can at least show something. So we're going back to providers, and how to do that is we are going to create an array that is containing objects. Okay, so I have to create an array. I call it const a hook actually, that the initial value is an array, const cart items, and then set cart items. Set cart items. So this cart items, set cart items is a use state, and the initial value is an array. The initial value is an array. Okay, so that's what we have here. So these two things again, we will pass them into this place. So we're going to pass them here to our sidebar providers. We're going to pass them there. So we can be able, that's why it's global scope, so that we can be able to make use of it where we want to use it. So I can go to add cards and I want to use it in my add cards. So again, because I'm going to use it in my add cards, I have to, I can just bring it here by, I can just bring them here because this is where I want to use them, right? So I'll bring them here. All right, so what do I want to do? I will create a function that will handle this card for me. But this place, I don't actually have the name of the product here. I don't have the name of the product and I don't even have the amount. The only thing that is in this very component, if you remember, is just this name. And it's just these two things, the inputs and the add cards. Those are just the only things that I have here. Okay, this inputs and the button, okay, which has to cart. So I don't really have the name of the product here. And so how am I going to do that? For me to be able to do that, I think I have to, let me push all these things, cut this out. Let me push all these things inside my providers, even though this one, I'm not even making use of it here. And I can pass it as a context. Okay, so if I go to my add cards, I can pass it as a context. Okay, so this add cards, I'm using it on the cards. Okay, this is where I'm using it. So this place, I don't have the amount here and I don't have the title here. So I can just pass those title and the amount as props here. Okay, I can say title is equal to title and amount should be equal to amount. So I can just get this title, and that is what I will have here. So it will pass it as props, and the amount too is what I will also get, title.amount, and I will have that as amount. So I have it there. So back to my add card, I can now bring them here as props. I call it title. So I'm not going to say title.title. I'll just say the name of the attribute, which is title, and the name I have here, which is amount. Okay, so that's what I'm going to call it. So again, I'm going to create a function that maybe I should just be writing this in, in, in a particular step. Okay, so I'm going to create a function here. I can call it add or handle add items to carts, add items to carts, add items to carts. Can just create it. Okay, it will handle my adding items to the cart. All right, so what do I want it to do? So it's going to be the set cart item, which is what I want it to be here, set cart items. So initial value is going to the structure. This is triple dots, the structure cart items, and then irrespective of whatever I have there, the structure cart items, and then the object. So I can just give it a name, and the name here should be, it's giving me title, this thing here. So let me just give it title, should be equal to title. So I should have title to be equal to give me title, and count. I can just say count. That is the number of times the person brings in, the number of times the person, the number here, that is this very number here. Okay, the very number here is what I'm looking at now. Okay, so which is input var. So it's going to be input var. Okay, so another this thing I have is amount. So this amount will be the number of this thing times that. So it is going to be input val multiplied by the amount which I have actually passed there as props multiplied by amount. So this will actually give me that. So inside this object, I'm going to actually have something like this. Okay. So okay. So whenever that is being done, I will actually have my button handling add value to carts. Okay. So whenever I click on that, it should be able to add that value to carts. Add value to carts. What is it doing? Add value to carts. So okay, I already have add value to cards here, which actually increases the value on the add cards. Okay, so this is like me now. Okay, so I can bring all these things together. I can just bring this together. I can delete this actually. Okay, so that this will handle this cards thing for me. Okay, so handle add items to cart. So that is the function that this thing has to listen now. So it will do the both of them. Handle add items to cart. So I can't have two on-click functions for one event. Okay, handle add items to cart. So my cart items has been updated whenever I'm doing use is updated. So I'm now back to carts, right? So back to carts, I have to bring in my cart items, and set cart items. So most time, in order not to make mistakes with this, it's always good you copy and paste. So you don't go and write a different thing. So I have to be sure that what I have here is what I'm having there. Okay. So it's always good that you are being consistent with what you are doing. Okay. So I didn't really log out this. So this complete. When I brought them here, I have to actually, um, I should have also returned them here too. So set cart item is what brought me here. I should also return them here. So that component will always have access to. So set cart item, just to be sure that what I copied is what I have here. So set item to cart and cart item. So cart items is actually the one I need to make use of here. Okay. So after this, let's display what is in our cart. So our cart, I will put it in a table, but for now, let's just see what is giving us. So I can just give it 3 piece and okay, let's just look at it this way. I can say cart items dot map just to be sure that everything is working well. Okay, so I can just say cards, call each one cards, and at each card, I'm creating, at each card, I'm creating a paragraph, okay. I will actually remove this letter, but just to, at each card, I'm creating a paragraph. Let me give it index so that it will asking me for key. That is why it's popping out this error. So key index, okay? So at each one, I'm doing cards and I'm looking at cards dot title, okay? I'm creating card dot title and let's just see whether that works for us. And when we add something to cart, we click on cart, we're supposed to actually have the title showing. So when I click on this and I have it here, you can see that the title is showing me here CSS, but it's not actually coming out well. So styling is what matters a lot here. So I need to bring this down or shift so it doesn't stay there. Okay. So when I click now, I can actually see that CSS is here. So it's actually adding my items to the cart. Okay. So and if I do the same thing for amount, it will also show me amount. But let's just do it right. Okay. Let's just do it right. So if I say cart dot amount, it will also show me the amount. So when I click here, it's showing me amount 200. Okay, so if I increase this to 200 and I add to cart, if I go there, it will show me 400 because I've added one 200 and then 200 times 2, it will give me 400. Okay, so let's get that right. Okay, so let's create a table that will actually handle this. So this will automatically look good. So instead of having this as a div, I can call it a table. All right, I can call it a table, and with table that is T head, we have T head in a table, and inside T head I can have a TR. Okay, so and inside my TR, I can have TH, and this TH can be title, title. Okay, another TH can be value, uh, value, that is the number, and another TH can be amount, can be amount. Okay, so it will be amounts. Okay, value and amounts. Okay, so and at each time that it is doing this thing, it's going to create a tr, or rather I will have this inside a th. Okay, so this thing will be t body, sorry. Okay, so I will have this inside a t body. So within my T body is going to be creating a table row at each time. Okay, and we cut it out to X. So in each table row, I will have a TD, which is which will give me the title. Okay, card.title. Okay, so and another TD will be created, card dot I've forgotten what we pass as the number. So let me just go to add card and see what I call it. Okay, I called it count. Okay, so it's going to give me the count and then the amount. Okay, so back here, so card dot count. Count is for the value, card dot count, and then card dot amount, card dot amount. Okay, so and amounts should be in naira, so we can just put the naira symbol. I've also forgotten what the naira symbol is, so I can just come here and select this page. So that is our naira symbol that we'll be using. Okay, we can also use for naira symbol. We can decide to also use an icon for the Naira symbol. Okay, so this will be able to add this thing to carts. Okay, so after our T body, we can also have a T foot. Okay, so in our T foot, we have a T row. Okay, within the T row, I can have a TD. This TD will have a row span, or colon span, not row span, colon span of 2. Colon span of 2. Okay, so another TD here can be for total TD. Okay, so I can say this TD here should be total. Okay, so I don't actually need this row span of 2. So this total is going to calculate the total of amounts, and another total will give me the total of the total this thing. But let's look at what we are doing so far and see how it appears. So let's refresh this page so everything will clear off. We also look at how do we add this to local storage. So let's assume I added this, which is 1, and I decide to add 4 of this, which will be 600, and I add 2 of this, which will make it that. So when I go back to my card, I will actually see that this is value here is 1, here is 3, which is 600, and they have different amounts here. I don't know whether they have different amounts. I think everything is 200. So I can change the amounts anyway. This one is 2, which is 400. Okay. Yeah, so if I close, we close back. So we can go back and design our table well so that this table can come out to look good. So, but first of all, let's